Marhaba. Right now we're going to talk a little bit about nouns and the case endings that they take in formal Arabic after certain numbers. Ordinarily, in speech, you wouldn't hear those case endings. And in fact, even in formal contexts, many native speakers of Arabic, if they were speaking on television in front of an audience and using Fusha, might revert to colloquial because this is a little bit tricky and a little bit arbitrary. But it is a way of demonstrating your eloquence in Arabic. So if you are reading a text aloud, for example, or giving a speech that you're preparing ahead of time in order to impress folks, it would be appropriate to dial in the correct i'rab for the nouns that come after these numbers. Numbers in Arabic are a category with a lot of precision in formal Arabic. Right now, I'm only going to focus on the case endings of the nouns at the end. So there are three major categories that we kind of have to worry about. Numbers from 3 to 10, or larger numbers that end with a quantity from 3 to 10, like 203 or 1,000,009. After a number from 3 to 10, we use the noun in its plural in the majroor case. So, and the number is considered the first term of the idafa. That's what makes the plural noun that comes after it majroor. The number would take whatever i'rab it should take anyway in the sentence. There's one other little wrinkle, that if we have a masculine noun, a noun that's masculine in the singular, the number is going to look feminine, or vice versa. This is called reverse agreement. Upon learning that piece of news, you might describe it using other more colorful language. It's a little counterintuitive, but it's just the way things are in standard Arabic. So let's take a look at a couple of examples. We could say, for example, we visited 3 cities. And we would express that in Arabic like this. زرنا 3 مدن. So mudun here is majroor because 3 cities is considered an idafa, and because mudun is the plural of Medina, city, in the singular, and thalatha is describing cities, it's not going to take the ta marbuta. We have reverse agreement there. We could say we slept in 7 hotels. نمنا في 7 فنادق. Here, 7 is majroor because it comes after a preposition, and then fanadiq is the second term of our idafa, and because funduq, the singular noun for hotel, has no ta marbuta, 7 is going to take it. One last example. In my family, there are 5 engineers, or there are 5 engineers in my family. في عائلتي 5 مهندسين. So here, 5 is our mubtada, our subject in a nominative sentence, a jumla ismiya. So it's marfu'a, but muhandisin is going to take the majroor plural in instead of the marfu'a in un, because this is one long idafa. And because muhandis, assuming it's a mixed group, we're going to use the masculine مهندس. Masculine, no ta marbuta, so our khamsa is going to take that ta marbuta. Reverse agreement, once again. When we're talking about quantities from 11 through 99, we do things a little bit differently. We need to use a singular noun after our number, and that noun is always going to be in the mansoob case with fatha tanween usually. So if we said they spent 45 days in the city, we could do it like this. قضوا, make some room here. Oh, excuse me. 45 would be خمسة وأربعين قضوا 45 يوما في المدينة. Here, يوم has to be mansoob because it's coming after a number that is between 11 and 99. In this case, you might think of the mansoob being used to answer the question ماذا? What? So it has that kind of adverbial quality in the mansoob. What is it? What? 45 what? This construction in Arabic is called tamyiz. You'll be learning more about it in a different video, but for numbers between 11 and 99, that is what we would do. Another example, if we wanted to say our class has 30 students, or in our class there are 30 students, is how we would structure it in Arabic. We could say, to make some room up here, في صفنا ثلاثون طالبا. Again, because we have a number between 11 and 99, we need to use a singular noun in the mansoob. For numbers ending with 100, mi'a, or 1,000, alif, or a million, milyun, or for that matter also billion, which is milyar in Arabic, we need to use a singular noun in majroor. We can think of it as an idafa again. So if we wanted to say, for example, I spent $100, we could phrase it this way. Here. دفعت 100 دولار, where we have an indefinite idafa and the second term needs to be majroor. Mi'a would be mansoob because it would be the object of dafa'tu. I spent $100 essentially is what we're saying. Or Shahrazad told her stories for 1,000 nights. It was actually 1,001, right? But let's stick with 1,000 for the sake of the example. Shahrazad روت شهرزاد حكايتها لمدة 1000 ليلة. ليه we have a preposition, so مدتي starts our إضافة, and then we have 1000 ليلة, which would be an إضافة all by itself if it were a phrase. 1000 ليلة. So if it were an إضافة all by itself, then 1000 could be in the مرفوع case. It could take any case at all, but because ليلة is our noun, 1000 nights, and it follows 1000, it's going to be مجرور once again. Notice though that if we were talking about a less round number, because of the way that we list numbers in Arabic, if I said, for example, $250, then the 50, since it's the last number that comes in the order of a larger Arabic number, would take over once again. So if I wanted to say, I spent $250, I could say it this way. دفعت 250. 50 comes last. So I would say دولارا. Because of the 50, it has to be mansub. Notice that all of the nouns that come after these numbers are indefinite. That tends to be the way it works in Arabic. Sometimes if we want to talk about a quantity of something like 1,000 nights of stories or 4 years of studying, we need to use a particle to separate the noun and the numbers so that we don't come up with an accidental idafa that would make things a little too definite, right? If I said, I got my degree after 4 years of the studying, it would, or the 4 years of studying, if we had the numbers in an idafa, then we would be saying the 4 years of studying, which is a little overly specific. So in a case like that, we would use min probably to separate the noun from the number. So if I wanted to say that, I got my degree after 4 years of studying, I could phrase it this way. حصلت على شهادتي بعد 4 سنوات من الدراسة. If I said 4 سنوات الدراسة, it would mean the 4 years of studying, and unless we had a conversation where that extra specificity made sense somehow, it would be just as awkward in Arabic where it was in English. Numbers in formal Arabic can be a bit complicated, and as I said, sometimes even native speakers in Fusha situations will try to avoid this complexity, but you, as a brilliant and engaged learner, will want to know this stuff so that you can demonstrate your mastery and your eloquence when the need arises.